So information, as we've come to know over the ages, has always had a lot of value attached to it. Whether you're fighting a war, whether you're devising a corporate strategy, whether you're launching an ad campaign, or whether you're just gossiping, it pays to know. The invasion of privacy wasn't such a big issue until and the mass adoption of the internet. Per se, all these digital mediums, whether it's the internet, whether it's the mobile, have made it so easy to collect information, use information, and of course misuse the information. Things were in control. If you look at how the internet operated until a few years back, everything was so the browser had very limited access to the data on your computer, right? It could probably just track where you were going, what you were browsing, what your favorite sites were, and probably to an extent it could track some of your search keywords, just knowing what was current in your life. Then came the social networking services, and all of a sudden the world got a platform to publish anything and everything about themselves, right? Social networking services pretty much allowed you to share your contacts, you shared your location, shared photographs, a whole bunch of information, right? Which earlier there was no way to access it beyond the browser. I wasn't still concerned. As of now, social networking, email, calendar, all of these more popular services on the internet pretty much are controlled by a majority of the internet heavyweights, right? So you've got 5, 6, maybe who pretty much control 80% of the information. And these are companies, who have a lot of accountability, who write policies, who have the right security norms, and who have the privacy policies. How loosely defined, there is a policy. And they do everything possible to make sure that the information shared with them stays with them and used only by them. So that's, where I come to the next topic. I call these are no longer smartphones. I mean, smartphones is what we had 7 years ago, or 5 years ago. The phone we have today, the iPhone, the Android, the Windows and the BlackBerry phone, they're practically super smartphones. And why do I call them super smartphones? I mean, if you look at what has changed about these phones, there are two things that you need to take into consideration. One, there's a whole level of information that's now stored on your phone. A whole level of information that's collected on your phone. A lot of this is automatic, right? Second, earlier the access to your information was restricted to the heavyweights or the big wigs you trusted. Now, these platforms give, average developers kind of publish apps right on your phone, and they have access to the information. Obviously, a permission is required from your end, which I think most people readily give. So what's the kind of information an average phone has? It's got your address book, your calendar, your schedule. It knows your location, knows your travel plans, knows what you like, what you don't like. Is there anything about your life that your phone doesn't know? Right? It's practically an automated logbook, so to say. Like what a ship captain maintains or an airline pilot maintains, that's what the phone is doing for you automatically. It has the who's, what, where, why, everything about you. Until now, and this is one of the areas of concern, right? You've got all of this information. Yes, it's stored securely on your phone, and to access it needs your permission. Let me ask you another question. How many of you, when you download apps, actually give some weight to the permissions that the app is asking for? Wow, I'm surprised. Sorry, my question was, when you download apps on the internet on your mobile phone, how many of you actually give any weightage, any time, any review to the kind of questions the app is asking for? But I can see like 4 or 5, maybe 6 hands in the audience. This is the scary part. I mean, do we not care who we are sharing our info with? Do we not care what people think about us, where we are using this information, what we use the information for? Let me give you an example. Right? This is a hypothetical story. I had a friend of mine working for a BPO in Gurgaon, recently started receiving job offers on his personal email ID. Very relevant job offers from big companies based in Gurgaon. Now, would you ever imagine that this has a connection to me down a messaging app on my phone and starting the about a month back? Guess what happened? Right? When I downloaded the messaging app, it asked me if I wanted to share my address book, because that's who my friends are, and that will allow me to do free messaging. Right? I don't have to pay for SMS because this messaging app works on the internet and it's free. So yes, I readily agreed. Right? Oh yeah, of course, take access to my address book. It took it took all the permissions required in terms of the internet, the address book, the ability to upload the address book to their servers. Then these address books, they need to make money, right? So either they're selling the information, people search those address books or search the data to do something more with it, right? Everything they needed to know about my friend in Gurgaon, the company he worked for, his title, his email address, his mobile number, his location, was already in my address book. And these guys have access to it now. Right? I can take quite a few examples in terms of what's happening here. Obviously, all of us receive a whole bunch of unwanted emails, right? Hey, your friend has joined this social networking service. Why don't you come and join him? He's waiting for you there. Are you really his friend? Yes, no. There's a whole bunch of spam that comes to us. Who does? Right? It's us who allows this information to be used by third parties for their marketing purposes, to drive their adoption, to drive their user base, and to drive their business. Go to a bank or a credit card company. Call your credit card company. What are the 3-4 things they ask you to validate your identity? Address, mobile number, email address, birth date. Is there anything you have here which you've already not published or people close to you don't know about you? The question is not whether they will misuse it or not. The question is to this information to third parties that you are not aware of, what happens to this information? I mean, it's a very serious thing to keep thinking about. I mean, it's not even what you're willing to do. It's about, do you even have any control over how and where your information is getting published now? And there's nothing wrong. I mean, the whole internet, the whole mobile, all these free apps, they only sustain, the entire business on the fact that you're allowing them to market to you, right? This is how they make money, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's it's an accepted business model. The point that we need to note here is, what are we doing about it? How cautious are we about sharing this information? I mean, the information you have, is used for targeted marketing. That's how the company providing the service to you make money, and that's how the services get to you for free. Essentially, there's nothing like a free lunch. You or someone else is paying for this. So what now? Am I advocating that you stop using social networking services? Well, how can we imagine life without it, right? Am I advocating you don't use smartphones, don't use mobile phones, mobile apps? No. I think all I'm trying to say is, and all we can do now is to just raise the level of awareness. And I'm just going to kind of talk about some very common sense examples, right? Go back to the example I gave you about that Gurgaon friend of mine, right? Had that HR consultant who, my Gurgaon friend, had he met you in public and said, hey, I know your friend in Gurgaon, I need to, do you have access to his information? Can I get his number? Can I? Would you have given it in real life? You would have probably asked questions, and you probably after that would have said, I'm going to check with my friend before I give information to you. Whatever I'm going to tell you in terms of the sensible tips to follow, it's nothing new. These are cautions we already accept in life. Can you please go back? Yeah. The idea is to kind of, here are some very fail-safe tips. Try and prefer with working with players when you download apps, when you use services, when you sign up for internet services. Try and work with established players. Players who are accountable. Players who, are either listed companies or have some kind of a backing that, accountable to guidelines as far as, using and publishing the information is concerned. The other thing, we typically say, hey, I like email from this one company, I like the calendar from another company, from yet another company. Actually, you're going and signing up with 20 different companies, and in the process, publishing your information with 20 different players. If the company that's providing you email, providing your calendar, and providing you, ability to upload photographs, and also providing you messaging, why would you not use them? Yeah, because it's not as popular. All my other friends are on the other messaging platforms. Right? So try and convince your friends. And I'm not advocating a particular company. I'm just saying, that's your way of life. yes, messaging services from a particular sector may not be as comprehensive. But at the same time, you have to understand anything that gets popular, will get better over a period of time. So it's a matter of maybe, living with it for the short of time, while they catch up, but eventually you will, get there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your decision. You decide the value that you get in return for it, and accordingly take a call in terms of what's sharing and what's not. Okay, so we are an app developer and an app publisher ourselves, and that's the reason, I thought I'll also explain as a publisher, what are we doing about this? Needless to say, if I am talking about, respecting someone's privacy, that goes down in the core of our definition. In terms of when we do any app development, when we come up with any concept, we say, okay, what's the minimum we need to kind of work on an app like this? And we put in the user's mind saying, hey, if these guys are asking for my location information, why? Like, you saw here, maybe people don't care, but we do. And that's the kind of values we put into our apps as well. I'll just give you an example. And this makes it difficult for us to make money, right? We don't have enough information. We can't market to you, as strongly as other companies. So the ability to monetize apps goes down with the, the lesser information that I have. At the same time, it makes it difficult for us to kind of get the user to say, okay, because we're collecting information, we're going to ask you to pay for our apps. Right? But so what we've done is what is called a freemium model, wherein we give you the basic functionality for free without invasion of your privacy. If you like some of our features, then we have a paid app. And typically when we do a paid app, talking a lot of money. It's usually most of the apps, not just ours, most of the apps on the internet pretty much cost you less than what a cup of coffee costs these days. So this is an example. We have a TV Guide app on the Android Play Store, again, with just full permission. Give us access to the internet so we can access and update, the program. There are 5 other TV Guides, you'll probably see, they will have a lot more other permissions. Okay, so the next concept, the reason I want to take a couple of minutes and talk about this is not about the app. It's more about the fact that we recognize these constraints and we said, okay, we want to do this app that allows you to remote control your Android phone or any other phone from an interface like Gmail. All of us use SMS, all of us see that, yes, we've got very comfortable with our phones, but at some point in time, you probably want to use, a better way to kind of go out and send SMS. You say, can I use my computer keyboard and send out an SMS from my phone? No, rocket science? No. By the time we looked up this concept, there were probably 10, 15 other apps doing it. Each one of these apps wanted you to go to their website, sign up for an account with them, allowed them access to your address book, allowed them to kind of send SMSs on your behalf, and a host of other permissions. We said, we don't want to do this. Is there another way to do this? And when we put our heads together and said, no, we don't want to do this, let us see what the user is comfortable with. Is he comfortable working with an interface he's already working with? Yes. Has he already shared his address book somewhere from where we can use it? Yes. And the first thing that came to mind, because it was Android, we said, of course, every Android account has a Gmail account. Android user has a Gmail account. We said, can we work through a Gmail account? Fortunately, yes, it allowed us to do that. So, eventually we got there. We said, we'll use the existing Gmail interface. We'll ask the user to kind of, connect his phone to his Gmail account. We are nowhere in the picture. We just provided that added functionality within Gmail that allowed Gmail to connect to your phone and send out an SMS. What's the great thing about this? We didn't ask you for anything else. We didn't ask you to learn anything new. We didn't ask you to share anything else with us. And best of all, we probably gave you the best compatibility in terms of when you send out an SMS from your own phone, it gets logged into your sent items, it gets logged in and shows in your conversation mode, and more importantly, the person receiving the SMS also gets the sender ID from your phone, not a third-party sender ID. Right? So wherever there is a problem, obviously the whole forum here is to kind of talk about innovation, and this is just one of the recent innovations I wanted to share with you. And that's the app. It's called Gmode. Again, just a very fresh and very new app uploaded on the Android if any of you guys want to try it out. Okay. Just leave it at the last slide. I'm going to stop my talk here. And out of this, there is so much more that came out of it. We didn't have to invest in the infrastructure. We didn't have to invest in building a website. We didn't have to invest in, customer support. We just used readily available tools and made this functionality possible. Thank you.